The front door shut behind me with a soft click, and the sound felt too loud. My legs were still weak from the hospital. My wrists looked thinner than I remembered. Even the strap of my handbag felt heavy, like it was filled with stones instead of my small things. Gerald held my elbow with one hand and my overnight bag with the other. He kept smiling the whole time, the kind of smile people use in front of nurses and neighbours. "You're home finally," he said. "You just need rest. No stress. No lifting. No worrying." Toby stood behind him, leaning on the hallway wall like he was bored. He did not hug me. He only gave me a quick look, up and down, like he was checking if I was really okay. "I'm fine," I lied, because saying the truth felt like a long walk I did not have the strength for. The house smelled like lemon cleaner. Too strong. Like someone was trying to cover another smell. As Gerald guided me to the living room, I noticed the pillows were perfectly lined up. The rug was straight. The air felt cold, even though it was warm outside. It looked like a home staged for a picture, not a home someone had been missing me in. Then Gerald clapped his hands once, too cheerful. "Oh," he said, "we got help while you were away." He turned toward the kitchen and called out, "Amina!" A woman stepped into view holding a broom. She was slim, with her hair pulled back tight. She wore a plain uniform, clean and simple. Her eyes were down like she was trying to disappear into the floor. "This is Amina," Gerald said. "She's the new maid, don't worry. She'll handle everything." Toby finally spoke. "She doesn't speak English," he said, yet like that was the most important thing to know about her. "So don't bother trying to chat." Amina nodded once and kept her eyes lowered. I forced a polite smile. "Hello," I said anyway. Amina did not answer with words. She only dipped her head again. Gerald rubbed his hands together like he was proud of himself. "You won't have to cook," he said. "You won't have to clean. We even stocked the fridge. Everything you like." At the word fridge, my stomach gave a small twist. It was not pain exactly, more like a warning bell, soft but clear. Because before the hospital, I had been eating everything I like too. I remembered the last week before I got sick, how I kept feeling dizzy after meals, how my mouth tasted strange sometimes like metal, how Gerald would frown and say, "You're not eating enough," while pushing another bowl toward me. How Toby would roll his eyes when I said I wanted to call my doctor. "Mom, you're overthinking," he had said, even though I was not his mother. Now I was back, and the house was smiling at me with clean cushions and cold air. Gerald checked his watch. "Listen," he said quickly. "Toby and I have to step out for a bit. Just quick errands. Amina will be here. You'll be safe." "Right now?" I asked. "I just got home." "It's important," Toby said, already grabbing car keys from the table. He didn't even look sorry. He looked eager. Gerald bent closer to me, lowering his voice like he was sharing a secret. "You know how it is," he said. "Adult stuff. Paperwork. We'll be back soon. You just sit, okay? Amina will bring you something." I opened my mouth to argue, but my throat felt dry. I hated how tired I sounded even inside my own head. I hated how easy it was for them to move around me like I was furniture. "Fine," I said. Gerald patted my shoulder twice, like you pat a child who is about to nap. Toby was already heading out. Amina stood quietly near the kitchen, sweeping slow and steady. She still looked like someone who understood nothing. Gerald and Toby walked out. the front door closing behind them. A moment later, I heard the car start. Then the tires rolled over the driveway stones. Then the sound faded down the street until there was only silence. Too much silence. Amina kept sweeping for a few seconds. The broom made a soft, dry whisper on the floor. Then she stopped. She set the broom against the wall like she had all the time in the world. Slowly she lifted her head. And for the first time, she looked straight at me. Her face was calm, but her eyes were sharp. Not confused, not scared, not shy. She walked closer, light steps, and leaned in, just enough that her voice would not carry. Then she spoke. Perfect English, clear as a bell. "Mom," she whispered, "do not touch the food in that fridge." My heart jumped so hard it felt like it hit my ribs. I stared at her. "What did you say?" Her eyes did not move. "I said," she repeated softly, "don't touch it. Don't taste it. Don't even take water from inside." My hands tightened around the blanket on my lap. "But Gerald said—" "I know what he said," she cut in, still quiet. "He said I speak zero English. That was for your ears, not for mine." My mouth went cold. "Why are you telling me this?" Amina swallowed once, like she was holding back fear so it would not show. "Because you came back from the hospital," she said, "and they left you alone with me on purpose." My skin prickled. Amina leaned closer, and her next words made my blood feel like ice. "They don't want you strong," she whispered. "They want you weak again, confused, sick. If you eat from that fridge, you may end up back in that hospital bed, maybe worse." I could not breathe right for a moment. The room seemed to tilt. "That's—" I started, but my voice broke. "That's a terrible thing to say." "It's a terrible thing to do," she answered, calm as stone, "and I've been watching since the day I arrived." I wanted to stand up, to prove I was not helpless, but my knees shook. I stayed seated, gripping the blanket like it was a rope. Amina straightened and glanced toward the front window as if she could see the car even after it turned the corner. "You have to act normal," she said. "When they come back, I will go back to being the maid who understands nothing. You must not let them know you heard this." My lips trembled. What am I supposed to eat? Amina looked down at the side table where my hospital discharge papers sat. Her voice stayed low, steady. "For now," she said, "dry food, sealed packs, tea made from fresh water, not from the fridge, and if you feel dizzy, you tell me at once. Do you understand me, Mom?" I nodded slowly, even though my head felt full of noise. Amina picked up the broom again and began sweeping soft and steady like nothing had happened. And I sat there in my own clean living room, realizing that coming home was not the end of my trouble. It might have been the start. My hands were still gripping the blanket when Amina went back to sweeping like nothing happened. I sat very still, like if I moved, the truth might fall apart. The house was quiet, the kind of quiet that makes you hear your own heart. "Amina," I whispered. She kept sweeping. Her face stayed blank, like she did not hear English, but her eyes flicked up for a second, just enough to tell me she heard everything. I swallowed. "How do you know?" I asked softly. "How do you know the food is bad?" Amina stopped sweeping again. But this time she didn't come close. She stayed near the kitchen doorway, where she could see the fridge without stepping toward it. "Because of how it is set," she said. "That doesn't make sense," I said. My voice shook. "As food is just food." Amina tilted her head. "Not always," she said. She pointed with 2 fingers toward the kitchen, like she was showing me a dangerous animal behind a glass wall. "Look," she whispered, "from here." I followed her finger with my eyes. The fridge door was shut. It looked normal, a plain fridge, the same one I had for years, but then my mind started filling in small details I had noticed without thinking. When Gerald said he stocked the fridge, he sounded proud, too proud, like a child showing a trick. And Toby looked happy when Gerald said it. My stomach tightened again. Amina spoke slowly, like she was talking to someone very tired. "When people care," she said, "they bring you simple things, soup, bread, fruit. They ask what you want. They wait." She paused. "But they did not ask you," she said. They told you. Everything you like. Like they already planned it." My mouth went dry. "They're my family," I whispered, like saying it might protect me. Amina's eyes softened, but her voice stayed firm. "Family can still do wrong," she said, "especially when they think nobody will notice." I felt heat rise behind my eyes. I blinked fast, trying not to cry. "What did you see?" I asked. Amina moved her lips like she was choosing safe words. "I saw Toby put gloves on one day," she said, "in the kitchen, not for cleaning, for touching food boxes." "That could be nothing," I said, but it came out weak. Even I didn't believe it. Amina nodded once. "It could," she said. But then I saw him wipe the counter after. Only one spot, like he didn't want fingerprints. My chest felt tight. I tried to take a deep breath, but it stopped halfway. Amina added, "And I saw Gerald pour something into a container. He looked around first, then he put it at the front, like he wanted you to take it first." I stared at her. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" Amina's jaw tightened. "Because you were not here," she said, "and because I needed to be sure." I swallowed again. My tongue felt thick. "I thought the hospital was," I began. "An accident," Amina finished. I nodded slowly. My mind went back to the hospital bed, the bright lights, the nurse asking, "Did you eat anything unusual?" My answer, "No," because I truly thought no. I remembered Gerald sitting by the bed, holding my hand, telling everyone how scared he was. But now the memory felt wrong, like a picture that looks normal until you notice the eyes are not smiling. Amina spoke again. "Tell me," she said. "Before you got sick, what did you eat most?" I tried to think. It was hard. My head still felt foggy sometimes. "Yogurt," I said. "Milk, fruit cups, those little meals Gerald kept bringing." Amina nodded as if she expected it. "And when did you feel dizzy?" she asked. "After breakfast," I whispered. "Mostly after breakfast." Amina looked toward the fridge again. "Breakfast foods," she murmured. My hands started to shake. I tucked them under the blanket so she wouldn't see. "What do I do now?" I asked. Amina stepped closer this time, but she kept her voice low. "We do simple things," she said. "We do safe things. No fighting, no big drama. Not yet." "Not yet?" I repeated. She gave me a quick, warning look. "Not while you are weak," she said. Not while you have no proof. If you accuse them and you are wrong, they will turn everyone against you. And if you are right, they will become more careful. My throat went tight. So I just act normal? Yes, Amina said. You act normal. You smile. You say thank you. You rest. I hated that. I hated pretending. But a small part of me understood. If someone really wanted me sick, then anger would not save me. Careful thinking would. Amina walked to the pantry without making noise. She opened it and pointed at a few things. Sealed crackers, she said. Dry cereal. Canned soup if the can is not opened. Bottled water if you have it. I watched as she checked each item like a guard. She picked up a box of tea bags and showed me the seal. This is safe, she said. Then she looked at the kettle. We boil fresh water, she added. Not fridge water. Not ice. I nodded. My heart was still pounding, but having a plan made it a little less wild. Amina brought a small tray and made me plain tea and dry toast from a new bread pack she opened in front of me. No butter, no spread, nothing from the fridge. I took a sip. My hands still trembled and the tea tasted like fear and heat. Will they notice? I asked. Amina shook her head. They will think you are picky from the hospital, she said. They will not suspect. Not if you act tired. I didn't like acting tired. I wanted to be strong. I wanted to stand up and shout, "What did you do to me?" But my body was not ready for shouting. Amina lowered her voice even more. One more rule, she said. What? I asked. Your phone, she said. Keep it with you, always. Do not leave it on a table. Do not let Toby take it to charge for you. My eyes widened. He does that, I whispered. Amina nodded. I saw him look through it once, she said. A cold wave ran through me. Why would he? Amina lifted a hand. Later, she said gently. Right now, you eat safe. You rest. You watch. I stared at the hallway leading to the front door. How long until they come back? I asked. Amina listened, then said, Soon. I sat back, trying to look like a normal grandmother who just came home from the hospital. Inside, I was something else. I was a woman in her own house, learning that danger can wear a smile. Amina picked up her broom again and began sweeping slow and calm. And I practiced my own calm too, because if Gerald and Toby walked in and saw fear on my face, I knew one thing for sure. They would change the game. The front door opened and Gerald's voice filled the house like he owned the air. We're back, he called, loud and bright. How's my brave lady doing? I forced my face into a small smile. My cheeks felt stiff, like they forgot how. Gerald walked in carrying 2 paper bags. Toby followed behind him, tapping his phone with his thumb like it was a little drum. Neither of them looked tired from urgent errands. They looked satisfied, like people who did exactly what they wanted to do. Gerald set the bags on the kitchen counter and kissed my forehead. The kiss was quick. It felt like a stamp, not love. There, he said. Home, safe, warm. Told you. Toby gave me a short nod. You didn't faint or anything? He asked, almost joking. Not today, I said softly. Amina stayed near the sink with her broom, eyes down again. As she went right back into the role, quiet, small, like she understood nothing. Gerald glanced at her and then at me. She's been good, he asked. She cleaned, I said. I kept my words simple. Gerald smiled wider. Good, good. That's what we need. Less stress for you. Then he turned toward the fridge like it was a prize. And now, he said, rubbing his hands, you need to eat. My stomach tightened. He opened the fridge door and cold air rushed out. He leaned in, looking pleased like a man showing off his work. See, he said, I stocked it with your favourites. Look at all that. He pointed at the front shelf, yogurt cups, fruit containers, a little bowl with a clear lid, milk, a drink bottle with a bright label, all the things that were easy to grab. All the things Amina warned me about. My heart beat hard. But I kept my face calm. I tried to sound tired instead of scared. I'm not very hungry, I said. Gerald's smile did something strange. It stayed on his mouth, but his eyes sharpened. You have to eat, he said. That's how you get strong. I had tea, I said, keeping it true but safe. And toast. Toby looked up from his phone. Toast? He repeated like it annoyed him. Gerald closed the fridge a little too hard. Toast is not enough, he said, still using a gentle voice that didn't match his hands. Come on, Nora, just a little yogurt. It'll settle your stomach. He reached for a yogurt cup and held it out to me. The plastic looked normal. The label looked normal. But my mind screamed, don't touch it. I made myself breathe slowly. Then I gave a small, weak laugh like an old woman trying to be pleasant. My stomach's still funny from the hospital, I said. Dr. Iqbal told me to go slow. Gerald blinked. He said that? Yes, I lied carefully. Dry foods first. I don't want to throw up. Gerald's jaw tightened for half a second. Then he smiled again. Okay, he said, dragging out the word. Okay, we'll do dry foods. Toby's eyes moved from my face to the fridge, then back. He didn't say anything, but he watched like he was counting. Gerald placed the yogurt back in the fridge. He did it slowly. Then he looked at Amina. Amina, he said, speaking loudly and clearly. Make her something light. Amina nodded, eyes down. Gerald leaned closer to me. See, he said softly. Everything is handled. I nodded. Inside, I felt like a mouse pretending it wasn't trapped. Amina moved around the kitchen doing simple things. She took sealed crackers from the pantry. She poured water from a bottle into the kettle. She didn't go near the fridge. Gerald watched her for a moment, then looked at Toby. We should check those papers later, he said. Toby nodded, still tapping his phone. Tonight, he said. When she's sleeping. The words were quiet, but not quiet enough. My throat went dry. I pretended I didn't hear. When Amina set the crackers and warm tea on a tray, Gerald looked pleased again, like he won. That's it, he said. Eat. Rest. We'll keep things peaceful. Thank you, I said, because thank you was safer than why. Toby walked behind my chair as I sipped my tea. He leaned in a little, too close. You should charge your phone, he said. You left it on low battery all the time. Give it to me. I'll plug it in. My fingers tightened around the mug. Amina coughed once, not loud, just enough to catch my attention. I remembered her rule. I turned my phone screen toward myself. I'll do it, I said. It's fine. Toby's smile looked polite, but his eyes were not polite. It's nothing, he said. I'm just helping. I know, I said, keeping my voice soft. But I'll do it. For a moment he didn't move. Then he stepped back. Okay, he said. Suit yourself? Gerald clapped his hands again. too cheerful. "Good news," he said. "Tomorrow we can start your routine. Light walks, proper meals, no stress." I nodded like I agreed with everything. Amina stayed quiet. After a while, Gerald said he needed to make a few calls. Toby said he needed to take care of something outside. They both drifted away, one to the study, one toward the back door. I sat in the living room sipping tea that tasted like hot cardboard, listening to my own breathing. Amina returned to sweeping near the hallway. Her eyes stayed down. Her body looked relaxed, but she was listening, always listening. A few minutes later, Toby's voice floated in from the kitchen, low, quick. "She didn't eat it," he said. Gerald answered from somewhere close, maybe the hallway. "Not yet." Toby. "Why not?" Gerald. "She's being careful, or someone warned her." My stomach dropped. Toby. "Nobody warned her. She doesn't talk to anyone." Gerald. "Then she's just being stubborn." Toby. "What if she calls the doctor?" Gerald. "She won't if we keep her tired, we keep things calm, we act loving." There was a short silence. Then Toby spoke again, sharper. "And the maid?" Gerald's voice got hard. "She's nothing. She's here to clean, that's it." My hands were shaking. I set my mug down slowly so it wouldn't clink. Amina swept past the living room doorway, eyes still down. But when she reached the corner, she lifted her hand and made a small motion with her fingers. "Wait. Be still." I stayed still. Later, when the house quieted again and Gerald was busy on a call, Amina slipped into the living room like a shadow. "Come," she whispered, barely moving her lips. "Only for a moment." I followed her into the kitchen on soft steps. My legs felt like rubber, but fear held me upright. Amina stood near the fridge, but she didn't touch it. She pointed. "Look with your eyes," she murmured. I leaned in slightly. The fridge light shone on the front shelf. Everything looked neat. Then I noticed something that made my mouth go cold. One of the containers, one I used to buy myself, had a lid that wasn't sitting right, just a tiny bit off, like it had been opened and pressed back down. And beside it was a bottle turned so the label faced the back, like someone didn't want it seen. My skin prickled. Amina pointed again, careful and slow. "See that?" she whispered. "Small things. Wrong things." I nodded, barely breathing. Amina stepped back and picked up her broom again. Her face returned to blank. "Go sit," she said softly. "Act tired. Let them think you believe them." I walked back to the living room and sat down slowly like an old woman settling into her chair. But inside I wasn't settling at all. Inside I was waking up. And for the first time, I understood something I never wanted to understand in my own home. The danger wasn't outside the front door. It was already living with me. That night, I did not sleep like I usually do. My body was tired, but my mind kept walking in circles. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Gerald smile at the fridge. I heard Toby's voice saying, "She didn't eat it." I lay in bed listening to the house. The quiet did not feel peaceful anymore. It felt like someone was hiding behind it. Near midnight, I heard soft footsteps in the hallway. Then a door creaked. I held my breath. I heard the faint sound of paper, like someone opening envelopes, like someone reading. My heart beat so loud I was scared they would hear it. Then the footsteps moved away. A few minutes later, Amina knocked lightly on my bedroom door. Not a real knock. More like a tiny tap. I whispered, "Come." She slipped inside and closed the door behind her. She didn't turn on the light. She stood in the dark like a person who knew where every shadow was. "Did you hear that?" she whispered. "Yes," I breathed. Amina nodded once. "Good," she said, "because now you believe your ears, not their smiles." I sat up slowly. My nightgown felt cold against my skin. "What do we do?" I asked. Amina's voice stayed calm. "We collect small truths," she said. "Small truths become big truth." I stared at her. "How?" "Simple," she said. "We don't touch the fridge, we don't accuse, we watch, we keep proof." The word proof made my stomach twist again. Amina leaned closer. "Tomorrow morning," she said, "when they are busy, we check 2 places. Trash, mail." I blinked. "Mail?" Amina nodded. "I saw Gerald take letters before you came home," she whispered. "He read them fast. Then he hid them." My mouth went dry. Why would he hide mail from me? Amina's eyes didn't blink. "Because it's yours," she said. "Or because it changes things." I swallowed. "Okay," I whispered. "Trash and mail." Amina stepped back. "Now sleep," she said. "You need your strength, even if it's just enough strength to stay calm." She left as quietly as she came. In the morning, Gerald acted like the perfect husband again. He brought me a pillow for my back. He asked if I wanted music on the TV. He even called me my love twice, like he was trying to remind me of something. Toby sat at the table scrolling on his phone, not even pretending to care. Every now and then he glanced at me quick and sharp, like checking if I was still under control. Amina moved around the kitchen, quiet and careful. She did not go near the fridge. She served me dry cereal from a sealed bag and poured warm water for tea from the kettle. Gerald noticed. "You still won't have yogurt?" he asked, trying to sound kind. "My stomach's not ready," I said. "It's better this way." Gerald's smile paused for half a second, then returned. "Of course," he said. "Whatever you need." But his hand tapped the table twice. Tap, tap. Like he was holding back anger with his fingers. After breakfast, Gerald said he needed to make some calls. Toby said he was going out for a minute. They both left the kitchen. Amina looked at me. Her eyes asked, "Are you ready?" I nodded. We moved like we were doing something normal, like we were only cleaning. Amina picked up a trash bag from the kitchen bin. She did not dig with her hands. She didn't make a mess. She only opened the top and looked. "Do you see?" she whispered. At first, all I saw was wrappers and paper towels. Then Amina pointed at a long receipt folded in half. I leaned in, careful not to touch anything. It was from a store I knew. But the items listed were not things I bought. Not things Gerald bought either, not normally. Some were special products with strange names. Some were bottles. Some were cleaning things, but not the kind we used. My throat tightened. "Why would he buy this?" I whispered. Amina folded the receipt back the way she found it and slid the trash bag closed again. "Not why," she whispered. "What? When? How often?" I stared at her. "You think he's been planning?" Amina didn't say yes. She didn't say no. She only said, Trash does not lie." Then we went to the mail. The mail tray was by the entry table, right where it always was. But it looked too empty. "There should be more," I whispered. I usually get bills, letters, flyers. Amina nodded. Yes, she said. Empty as a clue. I shuffled to the little cabinet drawer under the table, the one Gerald told me not to bend down for. I can do it, I whispered, even though my back complained. Amina steadied me and I opened the drawer. My breath caught. There were letters inside. A small stack, all unopened. Some looked old, like they'd been sitting there for days. One envelope had my name on it in neat official print. It wasn't from a friend, it wasn't from family, it looked like it came from a company, a serious one. I didn't open it yet. My fingers hovered. Amina stopped me with a small shake of her head. Not here, she whispered. Not where cameras could be. Cameras? I mouthed. Amina's eyes flicked toward the corner of the living room ceiling. I followed her glance, a small dark dot. I had seen it before and never cared. Now I cared. My skin prickled. Amina gently slid the letters back into the drawer, but she did one thing first. She turned the stack so the envelope with my name sat on top. Exactly how it was. Like nothing changed. Then she closed the drawer softly. My heart felt like it was trying to climb out of my chest. We need someone outside this house, I whispered. Amina nodded. Yes, she said. One safe person. Who? I asked. Amina didn't even hesitate. Your neighbour, she whispered. The kind woman who waves every morning. Mrs. Kapoor, I said, barely audible. Amina nodded again. You will visit like a normal neighbour visit, she said. Smile. Talk. Ask simple questions. See what she knows. I looked toward the hallway where Gerald's study door was shut. For a moment, I hated my own fear. I hated how I had to move like a quiet little mouse in my own home. But then I remembered the hospital bed, the weakness, the fog in my head, and I knew fear was not my enemy. Blindness was. I took a slow breath and stood a little straighter. Okay, I whispered, we do it your way. Amina's face stayed calm, but her eyes showed something warm for 1 second. Good, she said softly. Now we begin to take your life back. Quietly. By late morning, Gerald and Toby were both busy in different parts of the house. Gerald shut himself in the study, talking on the phone with a voice that sounded sweet, like honey, but I could hear a hard edge under it, like a knife hiding under a towel. Toby went out back and I heard him open and close the shed door. He stayed out there a long time. Too long for nothing. Amina came into the living room with a small scarf and my cardigan. You said you wanted fresh air, she said loud enough for anyone nearby to hear. Then she leaned close and whispered so softly I almost didn't catch it. Now is the time. My stomach fluttered like a trapped bird. I stood up slowly, using the armrest for support. My legs still felt shaky, but I could walk if I went slow. Amina helped me into my cardigan like a daughter would. Her hands were gentle, but her eyes were alert. She kept glancing around the room, checking corners, checking the ceiling. I remembered the little dark dot she had pointed at, the camera. Even thinking the word made my skin crawl. Amina placed my phone in my pocket. Keep it, she whispered. And don't take it out here. Then she opened the front door and stepped aside like a quiet helper. I walked down the porch steps and onto the driveway. The sun felt warm on my face, but it didn't calm me. It only made me feel exposed, like the whole world could see my fear. Mrs. Kapoor's house was right next door. I had waved at her for years, we had shared small smiles and short talks, but I had never truly leaned on her. Now I was about to. Amina followed a few steps behind me, holding a small shopping bag like we were going out for something simple. Mrs. Kapoor was in her front garden, trimming flowers. When she saw me, her face changed fast. "Oh my goodness," she said, dropping her scissors into her apron pocket. "Nora, you're home!" She walked over quickly, wiping her hands. Her eyes looked me over in a kind way, but also in a worried way. "You look thin," she said softly. "How are you feeling?" I tried to smile, but it came out weak. "Better," I lied. "Just tired." Mrs. Kapoor glanced toward my house, then back at me. "Come inside," she said. "Sit. You need water." My throat went tight at the word water. "Tea is fine," I said quickly. Mrs. Kapoor didn't argue. She guided me inside like I might break if she moved too fast. Her living room smelled like warm spices and clean air, not like lemon cleaner trying to hide something. She sat me on a soft chair and brought tea without asking too many questions. Amina stood near the doorway, quiet again, eyes lowered, or like she was only the maid. Mrs. Kapoor looked at her and then at me. "Is this your new helper?" she asked. "Yes," I said carefully. "Her name is Amina." Mrs. Kapoor nodded, polite. "Welcome." Amina dipped her head. Still silent, my hands were wrapped around the warm teacup. I stared into it, watching the little steam rise and vanish. Mrs. Kapoor sat across from me. "Now tell me the truth," she said gently. "What's wrong?" My mouth opened, but for a second no sound came out, because saying it out loud made it real. Then I forced the words out, simple and quiet. "I don't feel safe," I whispered. Mrs. Kapoor's eyes widened just a little. "Safe from who?" I looked down at my cup. "From inside my own house," I said. Amina shifted slightly behind me. I could feel her attention like a steady hand on my shoulder. "Mrs. Kapoor didn't laugh. She didn't say I was being silly. She only leaned forward. "Tell me what happened," she said. So I told her the smallest pieces, not the whole storm, just the drops that proved the rain was real. I told her about the fridge, about Gerald pushing food at me, about Toby trying to take my phone, about mail hidden in the drawer, about the strange receipt in the trash. Mrs. Kapoor listened without interrupting. Her face grew serious in a way that made my chest ache. When I finished, she held my gaze. "I need to tell you something," she said slowly. My fingers tightened around the cup. She took a breath. "When you were in the hospital," she said, "Gerald came home one day and stood on the porch. He didn't look worried. He looked busy." "Busy?" I repeated. Mrs. Kapoor nodded. "He had papers," she said. He was reading them fast. Then he made a call. I heard him say, "It will be handled soon." My stomach dropped. Mrs. Kapoor's voice softened. "I thought maybe it was hospital paperwork," she said. "But he didn't look like a man missing his wife. He looked like a man solving a problem." I felt cold all over. Then Amina spoke, still soft, still careful, but clear enough now that there was no pretending. "I am sorry," she said, her English calm and clean. Mrs. Kapoor's head snapped toward her. "You speak English?" she said, surprised. Amina nodded once. "Yes," she said. "I had to pretend." Mrs. Kapoor looked at me confused. Why would you pretend? Amina's eyes lowered, and for the first time she looked tired. Because pretending keeps me alive, she said quietly. And it keeps her alive too. Mrs. Kapoor's face went pale. What do you mean? Amina's voice stayed simple, like she was talking to a child, because fear makes adults feel like children. I have seen this pattern before, she said. An older woman gets weak. The family says it is age. They control food, phone, and papers. They act kind in public, and the woman starts to disappear. I swallowed hard. Amina, I whispered. She looked at me. Her eyes were steady. I took this job because I was worried, she said. When I heard the husband wanted a maid who speaks no English, I knew it was not about cleaning. It was about silence. Mrs. Kapoor's hands trembled. She set her tea down. We need to call your doctor, she said. Yes, I whispered, my voice small. Mrs. Kapoor took her phone from the table and handed it to me. Call, she said. Right now. My fingers felt stiff as I dialed Dr. Iqbal's office. When he came on the line, I had to blink back tears because hearing a calm, normal voice felt like a lifeline. I didn't tell him everything. I told him enough. I told him I was home. I told him I was not eating from the fridge. I told him I felt something was wrong. Dr. Iqbal went quiet for a moment, then spoke carefully. You are doing the right thing by avoiding the food, he said. Do not eat anything you did not open yourself. Do not take medicine unless you are sure what it is. My heart pounded. Am I in danger? I asked. He didn't use scary words. He kept it calm, like he didn't want to frighten me into mistakes. I can't say without tests, he said. But if you believe someone is trying to harm you, don't handle this alone. Stay with someone you trust. And if you find proof of tampering, contact the proper authorities. I looked at Mrs. Kapoor. She was already nodding like she understood. When I hung up, my hands were shaking. Mrs. Kapoor reached across and held my wrist gently. You can stay here whenever you need, she said. You are not alone. A lump rose in my throat so fast it hurt. Amina stood beside me, quiet again, but this time her silence didn't feel like hiding. It felt like standing guard. I took a slow breath and forced my voice to stay steady. Thank you, I whispered. Then I looked toward my house through Mrs. Kapoor's window. My home, my living room, my fridge, my life. And for the first time since I got back from the hospital, I didn't feel like a helpless patient. I felt like a woman waking up, not with shouting, not with drama, with truth. Piece by piece, when we walked back to my house, my feet felt heavier than they should. Mrs. Kapoor insisted on coming with us, but we had to make it look normal. So she only walked me to my porch like a friendly neighbour helping a sick grandmother home. She smiled wide, waved at the road, and even joked about her flowers. Anyone watching would think it was just a sweet visit. Amina stayed a few steps behind me, quiet again, head down, holding the small bag like she was just doing her job. But I could feel it. The house felt like a place that was listening. When I opened the door, Gerald was already in the hallway, like he had been waiting near it. There you are, he said, voice bright. I was worried you'd tire yourself out. His eyes moved past me to Mrs. Kapoor on the porch. Mrs. Kapoor smiled warmly. I just gave her some tea, she said. She's still weak. You must take it easy on her. Gerald's smile looked polite. Of course, he said. We're doing everything for her. Mrs. Kapoor patted my hand gently, then stepped away. Call me if you need anything, she whispered. I will, I whispered back, and I meant it. The moment Mrs. Kapoor turned and walked off, Gerald's face changed a little, not fully, just enough that I noticed. He closed the door and locked it. Click. Toby's voice came from the living room. Where did you go? Next door, Gerald answered before I could speak. She needed air. Toby appeared, phone in hand, wearing a lazy smile that didn't reach his eyes. Air is fine, he said, as long as you're not filling her head with nonsense. My throat tightened. It was tea, I said softly. That's all. Gerald clapped his hands once, like he was starting a meeting. Good, he said, because we actually have something important to discuss. He walked toward the dining table and pulled out a folder. A folder. My stomach dropped because my body remembered the hospital, the fog, the confusion, the way it was hard to think fast. Toby set his phone down on the table like he wanted both hands free. Gerald opened the folder and slid papers toward me. These are just routine, he said, using that careful, sweet voice. A simple plan to help you while you recover. I stared at the papers. The words looked too official for routine. What is it? I asked. Gerald's smile held steady. A care arrangement, he said. Temporary, just in case you need extra support. I have support, I said, glancing at Amina. Gerald didn't look at her. He looked at me. Amina cleans, he said. That's not the same. Toby leaned forward. It's not a big deal, he said. You'll be safer in a proper place. Nurses, doctors, people who know what to do. Amina stood near the kitchen doorway, eyes down, silent, like she understood nothing. But I felt her presence like a shield. I forced my voice to stay calm. Let me read it, I said. Gerald's fingers tapped the table again. Tap, tap. Of course, he said. Take your time. I read slowly. Some words were hard. Some sentences felt like they were made to confuse. But one thing was clear. It wasn't only about care. It was about control. It talked about who could make decisions on my behalf. Who could speak for me? Who could handle my matters? My hands started to shake. Then I kept them flat on the paper so they wouldn't show. This isn't just a care plan, I said quietly. Gerald's smile twitched. It's for your protection, he said. Toby sighed like I was being difficult. Grandma, don't make this a drama, he said. You're not thinking clearly these days. That sentence hit me like a slap. Not because it was loud, because it was the same kind of sentence people use when they want to take your voice away. I looked at Gerald. Did you write this up while I was in the hospital? I asked. Gerald's eyes narrowed for a second. I handled things, he said, like a responsible husband. My heart beat hard, but I held my voice steady. I'm not signing anything today, I said. Gerald laughed lightly, like I was joking. Nora, no, I said again, firmer. Not today. Toby's chair scraped back a little. Why? He asked, sharp now. What's the problem? I took a slow breath. Simple words, calm tone. Just like Dr. Iqbal advised. I want my doctor to see it first, I said. Gerald's smile fell a bit more. Your doctor doesn't handle paperwork, he said. He handles my health, I answered. And this is about my health. Toby leaned in, voice low. You've been talking to that neighbour, he said. Haven't you? My blood ran cold. Gerald snapped his head toward Toby like he didn't want him saying that out loud. Then Gerald turned back to me, face tight. "You're tired," Gerald said slowly, carefully. "You don't understand what you're reading." I stared at him. "I understand enough," I said. Gerald's voice rose, not a shout, but louder. "This is for your good." Amina moved one step closer, still quiet. I stood up slowly and using the table edge. My legs shook, but I stood. "Then it can wait," I said. Gerald's eyes flashed. "Sit down," he said. My whole body went still, because his tone wasn't caring anymore. It was a command. For 1 second, I felt like I was back in the hospital bed, weak and trapped. Then Amina spoke softly, in the simplest way. "Tea," she said, pretending broken English, and held up the kettle like she understood nothing else. It was strange, but it helped. It broke the moment. It made Gerald step back into his polite man mask. He swallowed and forced a smile again. "Fine," he said. "Drink tea. Rest. We can finish this later." Toby grabbed his phone, angry now, not hiding it. "This is ridiculous," he muttered. Gerald gathered the papers too neatly, like a man putting a tool away for later. I walked to the living room and sat down, keeping my phone in my pocket like Amina told me. My hands were cold. Amina came close and bent as if she was straightening the rug. Her lips barely moved. "Mrs. Kapoor is watching from her window," she whispered. "If he pushes again, we call." I swallowed. "Call who?" I whispered back. Amina's eyes lifted to mine for a second. "The officer," she murmured. "Not to argue, not to threaten, just to report what's happening." My chest tightened. I didn't want the police in my home, but I wanted even less to disappear inside it. That evening, when Gerald stepped out to take another call and Toby went upstairs, Amina quietly took out her own phone and showed me a saved number. Officer Reyes. Amina didn't dial yet. She waited for me to nod. I nodded, once, and as the phone began to ring, I realized something important. Gerald and Toby had been treating me like I was alone, but I wasn't alone anymore. The phone rang only twice before someone picked up. "This is Officer Reyes," a calm voice said. "Who is calling?" My throat felt tight, but I forced the words out. "My name is Nora," I said. "I just got home from the hospital and I don't feel safe in my own house." There was a short pause. Not the kind that means someone doesn't care. The kind that means someone is listening. "Are you alone right now?" Officer Reyes asked. I looked at Amina. She stood beside me like a guard, eyes steady. "No," I said. "Amina is here, and my neighbour is watching from next door. My husband and stepson are in the house too." "Okay," Officer Reyes said. "Stay where you are. Keep your phone with you. I'm coming to you." My hands shook as I ended the call. Amina gently took my mug from my hand and set it down, like she didn't want me to spill it and show fear. "Now we breathe," she whispered. "Slow." I tried. From the hallway, I heard Gerald's voice again. Still sweet, still fake. "Nora," he called. "Everything okay?" "Yes," I answered, keeping my voice flat. "Just tired." Amina gave a tiny nod like she was proud of me for not sounding scared. 10 minutes later, a car pulled up outside. I watched from the living room window. The moment I saw the uniform, My chest loosened a little, like someone untied a knot. Amina stepped back and lowered her eyes again, returning to her quiet maid mask as the doorbell rang. Gerald reached the door first, of course. He opened it with a wide smile like he was welcoming a guest to a party. Officer, what can we do for you? Gerald asked. Officer Reyes looked past him into the house, then straight at me. Ma'am, he said, polite and firm. Are you Nora? Yes, I said. Did you call me? He asked. Gerald laughed lightly. She's been confused since the hospital, he said quickly. You know how it is with older folks. She worries. I felt heat rise in my face, but I kept my voice calm. I'm not confused, I said. I'm careful. Officer Reyes stepped inside. He didn't let Gerald's smile push him around. He looked at Toby too, who was standing near the stairs with his phone in his hand, like he wanted to record everything. Who are you? Officer Reyes asked Toby. Toby, he said. Her stepson. Officer Reyes nodded once. Then he turned back to me. Tell me what's going on, he said. My heart beat hard. This was the moment Gerald always tried to stop. Me speaking to someone outside the house. So I spoke. Not with big words. Not with drama. Just simple truth. I came home weak, I said. They left me alone with a new maid. They told me she spoke no English, but the moment their car pulled away, she warned me in perfect English not to touch the food in the fridge. Gerald's smile froze. Toby's eyes widened for a second, then narrowed. Officer Reyes looked at Amina. Is that true? He asked. Amina lifted her head. Her voice was calm. Yes, she said. I warned her. Gerald's mouth opened. No sound came out at first. Then he forced a laugh. This is insane, he said. She's lying. She's trying to cause trouble. Officer Reyes didn't argue. He only asked, why would she warn her? Amina answered simply, because I saw things that didn't feel right, she said. And because they keep trying to get her to eat from that fridge and to sign papers. Officer Reyes looked at me again. Papers? He asked. I nodded and pointed toward the dining table. They put a folder in front of me, I said. They told me it was routine. It wasn't. Gerald stepped forward, voice sharp now. Officer, this is a family matter. Officer Reyes raised a hand. Sir, step back, he said, still calm. Let her speak. Gerald stopped, but his face tightened like a rope pulled too hard. I walked slowly to the dining table and pulled the folder toward me. My hands still shook, but I held on. Officer Reyes read the top page. His eyes moved from left to right, slow and serious. This is about decision-making, he said, looking up. This is not just a care plan, Toby scoffed. It's for her safety, he said. Officer Reyes looked at Toby. Then it can wait for her doctor and her lawyer, he said. Nobody signs anything under pressure. Gerald's voice went cold. So what now? You're just going to believe her. Officer Reyes looked at me again. Ma'am, he said, do you want to stay in this house tonight? My mouth opened and my answer surprised even me. No, I said. The word felt like stepping out of a dark room into sunlight. Officer Reyes nodded. Okay, he said. Do you have a safe place? I looked toward the window where Mrs. Kapoor's curtain moved slightly, like she was watching, like she was ready. Yes, I said. Next door. Officer Reyes turned back to Gerald and Toby. She is leaving, he said. She is taking her phone, her important items, and her medication that her doctor confirms. Nobody is stopping her. Nobody is forcing her to sign anything. Understood? Gerald's face turned red. This is ridiculous. Officer Reyes stayed calm. If it's ridiculous, it will clear up, he said. If it's not, then today was the right day to call. Amina moved quietly and helped me gather a small bag. My phone charger, my hospital papers, a sweater, my wallet. She didn't touch the fridge. She didn't take food. She only took things I could prove were mine. Before we left, I walked past the fridge once and looked at it like it was a stranger. I didn't open it. I didn't touch it. Because that fridge wasn't just a fridge anymore. It was a warning. Officer Reyes asked one more thing before I stepped out. Do you want me to take a report and follow up? He asked. Yes, I said. Toby laughed, but it sounded nervous now. Report for what? For yogurt? I looked at Toby and my voice stayed soft but strong. For pressure, I said. For hidden papers, for making me feel trapped, for trying to make me look confused so you can speak for me. Toby's smile slipped. Gerald didn't look at me. He looked at Officer Reyes, like he was trying to find a way to win. But for the first time in a long time, the room wasn't his. We walked next door with Officer Reyes watching until I was safely inside Mrs. Kapoor's living room. Mrs. Kapoor held my hand. You're safe here, she whispered. That night I called Dr. Iqbal again and told him I would come in for tests, with Mrs. Kapoor with me. I also called a lawyer the next morning, someone Mrs. Des A. Kapoor trusted, and I told them one clear sentence. I need my voice back on my own life. Amina stayed close, not like an employee, like family should have stayed. In the days that followed, Gerald and Toby stopped acting brave. They started acting careful. They stopped pushing papers. They stopped trying to take my phone, and every time they tried to speak over me, I remembered something simple. Weak is not the same as quiet. I was still healing, but I was no longer blind, and that was the beginning of my life coming back to me, one truth at a time. If this story made you feel something, please support it with a like, share it with someone who needs courage, and subscribe so you don't miss the next story.